Earth, life, apes, us. How did all of this come to be? And what does an ancient species of stupid ape-like creatures on our planet have to do with it? The truth may be extremely surprising, but it may make perfect sense. There have been countless theories, but is it possible life on Earth has other origins? 380 billion years ago, a large planetary body of solid rock-like material is sailing through the universe, belonging to no star. Is it possible that this planetary body is Earth?
We believe Earth began as a lone cowboy. To understand how we know this, we have to look 150 billion years from the moment it began its journey.
230 billion BCE, Earth begins nearing our solar system, and before long, our sun.
The Earth was going so fast, but the crazy gravity the sun is able to create pulled it right in, no problem. Think of it like a football.
But an important turning point in Earth's history occurred when it joined the solar system as the 8th planet. Immediately, the entire planet caught on fire because of the new heat from the sun.
Experts say Earth during this period was on fire for 1 billion years, using the rock as fuel.
Something being on fire for that long means something crazy is bound to happen. And we believe something crazy did happen, just as it was bound to.
What could have been the result of Earth being on fire for so long? And does it perhaps help us answer the question of life on Earth?
First of all, the fire melted the rocks, turning Earth into essentially a ball of magma. Since there was no more rock to burn, the fire went out. But the energy of the fire had to go somewhere. It couldn't have gone into space because space can't hold energy, and it couldn't move internally because there was already so much energy inside. Therefore, after the magma was cooled back in the rock, we believe the energy was converted into humans.
Are these humans like us? Are these beings just like the people we see on Earth today?
Basically, humans are pretty common, so the chances that the original people that first came from the fire energy were like us is pretty high.
These people barely counted as humans. They were barely able to survive. Sure, there wasn't any food or water in their environment of just rock, but humans are survivors.
If the first generation of humans was barely able to survive, how did they adapt to the environment?
There was one option for these people, only one thing they could have done. They had to devolve.
The Great Monkey Leap Forward is a fascinating period of human history. In only 20 years, one generation, these people were already monkeys, and they were decent monkeys too, easily ushering in the all-Ape Earth era.
No nutrients? No problem. I get it seems weird, but since monkeys use like no energy, they were able to survive better.
Based on carbon-14 dating, among other secret methods, experts believe all Ape Earth lasted many millennia. But what did their lives look like as ape beings?
While they counted as monkeys, we're pretty sure they were extremely unintelligent. We simulated these apes ourselves, and they were barely able to walk or even move at all. Still, they developed primitive forms of many things humans do.
We've seen evidence for something called the ape ball that they used instead of the modern wheel. Also, their form of aviation was, instead of the airplane or helicopter, the slingshot technique, where they linked arms and propelled the monkey very far. These kinds of things are evidence of a very interesting civilization that simply fascinates me.
I love the idea of living as a monkey on all Ape Earth.
However, was all good for the monkeys of all Ape Earth?
Think about it. There's nothing on all Ape Earth except apes, not even an atmosphere. So any heat on this planet escaped right into space because of the laws of science. So these monkeys got super cold. But then the most awesome thing happened.
Experts have found evidence that monkeys huddled up to get warmer, but was conserving heat all that the huddling up accomplished?
Very old feet-shaped holes and imprints are common all around Earth, so they clearly were huddled together all the time. But being so close together, they couldn't get anything done, and it was super uncomfortable.
Luckily for these apes, over many years of being many apes in one place, they fused together to form one huge ape in one place. This massive new creature was 150 meters tall, according to our calculations, but also estimations, and we call it Big Ape.
This thing was so huge! I mean, he was just big!
Big Ape was much warmer due to its sheer mass, and it was able to survive in its environment no problem.
We've also found that Big Ape at the time had an enlarged neck that was about 15% larger relative to its body than any modern ape's neck. But what does that have to do with anything? I don't know.
But what was this thing's role in the history of life on Earth? What did it even accomplish?
Big Ape did so much for us. Throughout his life, we believe he formed the Earth as we see it today. Almost everything about it. If that sounds crazy, that's because it's true.
You can see clear evidence for Big Ape's terraformation simply by looking outside. Almost every dip, valley, and trench was put there by its feet when it was walking around, which you can always basically see because the shape of its feet clearly remains.
Mountains are also the result of Big Ape digging up the earth and meticulously placing it to its liking. We know this because there is a valley somewhere near every mountain within 1,000 kilometers, and coincidences are incompatible with science, and most importantly, evidence.
Volcanoes, clouds, deserts, dirt, oceans, rivers, islands, entire continents. Every natural formation you see when you look outside was directly molded by Big Ape. When you accept this theory, literally everything makes sense. Probably everything.
What kind of life did this creature lead? And is it possible Big Ape had something to do with the origin of life as we know it?
This thing lived a horribly lonely life. We're fairly certain all the water on Earth is the result of him crying out of his eyes, causing liquid to fall from the front quadrant of his face, which is the reason ocean water contains sodium chloride and ape chemicals.
My heart breaks thinking about how he felt. He really felt so lonely. Can you imagine being as lonely as him? No one can do that. I'm sorry, I can't do this right now. Okay.
So when you think about it, Gene, what's going on?
I can't take it anymore.
What?
Big Ape was just so alone. He was so sad and lonely.
It's all right. Big Ape figured it out.
He did?
Yeah.
I'm just sorry. This is too much.
Anytime you're working on it takes time. It takes work. But he figured it out. It's all right.
Okay. I know.
Why don't you just go back to your spot? And
I'm so sorry.
I'll talk to you later. All right. Okay. Listen, it's all right.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay, Gene.
What did Big Ape do about its loneliness? Surely the creature must have, or at least could have, used its power to do something about its unhappiness.
When you put yourself in Big Ape's position, what would you do? You start brainstorming, of course. And what do you do when you brainstorm? You sit down for a while.
We see so much evidence of Big Ape sitting and wondering for super long periods of time right after he cried the lakes, rivers, and oceans into existence. He did this for 150 years based on looking at the data and coming to a solid, heartfelt conclusion.
With all that deliberation, a genius idea is sure to occur. At least, there's a very good chance a decent idea comes up. And we think one that was at least decent did happen.
Is it possible Big Ape's idea was to create companions so that he wasn't lonely? Is it possible Big Ape created the animals, plants, and all living things on Earth?
Yes, it's possible. It's so possible in so many ways that it's exactly what happened. How he did it is pretty confusing and honestly pretty gross though. Our large friend decided to give birth to every plant and animal we know of.
There are a few ways Big Ape could have done this, but in reality, there is only one way it could have, and it's called the egg imagination process. Ape! During this process, Big Ape imagined the plant or animal it wanted to birth physically. Then an egg came out of it, and the pre-envisioned plant or animal hatched moments later. This, of course, puts an end to the chicken versus egg debate. The egg came first, as it did for all plants and animals, from bacteria to trees to humans. We are all a result of Big Ape's imagination.
I love the fact that I was once a thought in Big Ape's huge head where his brain is. And it's just hilarious to think about how Big Ape gave birth to all those apes and monkeys too. Like, Big Ape made a bunch of little apes, and he finally wasn't lonely anymore.
The Earth still needed oxygen for all the animals, however. Photosynthesis by plants, which turns solar energy and CO2 into oxygen, is simply a cover-up for what actually happened. What really happened was Big Ape exhaled a ton and put air all over the place being Earth.
Clearly, experts believe Big Ape was the main driving force behind much of Earth's history. But how then did the supposed existence of Big Ape end? Or is the creature still alive?
It is highly probable that Big Ape currently lives on the moon. The moon is essentially a hiding place, a big refuge for Big Ape. Other animals, including humans, began to intimidate it, so it needed somewhere to go. It created the moon as a safe haven, and it is currently living on the far side of the moon.
Big Ape is currently, at this moment, creating a new world for itself and perhaps others in the future, similar to what it did with Earth.
We have even taken photographic evidence of Big Ape peering around the edge of the moon on some nights. As you can see, his head is clearly visible against the night sky. He then stayed there for 3 hours straight. I stopped myself. I wish I had that kind of concentration.
We are certain, however, that Big Ape is on the moon to stay. He only looks at us sometimes because he's curious, similar to how we watch our children while they're asleep.
Why hasn't Big Ape ever returned to our planet? Is it still too frightened of the animals on Earth?
So, I told you Big Ape is only ever on the moon. But actually, the truth is it leaps back to Earth every single leap year. We know this because the pyramids of Giza are perfect ramps to land on when leaping from the moon and to jump off when leaping to the moon. So, it must have made them for exactly that purpose.
The Sphinx is also the perfect shape for Big Ape to hide in, so we're fairly certain that's where he goes.
There have actually been reports of people seeing large eyes in the Sphinx, and they're only over on leap years, most of the time. So I decided to photograph it myself. That is clearly Big Ape, and his eyes are looking straight out of the Sphinx. It's unbelievable. I still do not believe it.
Even though we and other animals scared him away, he's constantly looking at us to make sure we're okay. There's even been evidence found that there are future plans to talk to Big Ape here and also on the moon, for the first time in forever.
The government documents haven't been made public yet, but they will be soon. NASA spies who basically hacked NASA have reported back to us the mission outlined with mission ID 4211211212-6.
NASA's mission outline clearly directly says we will see Big Ape on the moon to talk to him. The US government likely hasn't announced this yet due to the possible fear that would result from everyone knowing about Big Ape. But me, frankly, I'm excited.
The thing is, I honestly think that everyone would love to know that Big Ape is right there on the moon, and that every leap year he's with us in the Sphinx of Giza. It's so nice, and either way, we've got to tell everyone the truth, even if they hate it. Haters are not worth ignorance.
The truth is the most important thing. If everyone finds out about Big Ape, we know more about ourselves and the planet we live on.
And if we know about Big Ape will know about us, even though he already does.
And when we know more about ourselves, we'll be able to answer more questions about our future.
Our future is bright, and it's even more bright if we all know about Big Ape.
It is absolutely necessary that we teach the world about Big Ape and the true history of Earth and the life on it.
If we don't, we will forever be ignorant. We must tell the world the truth about the world.
The world and life on it are mysterious things. Who could have guessed that a 150-meter tall ape creature was responsible for most of it? While experts are fairly confident in their findings, there is always more to uncover, more to find out about Earth and ourselves.